understand that you're the one that really convinced your father, Bernard Arnault, the chairman of LVMH, that the Olympics were worth your money. What I hear is about 150 million euros of it, and that you actually also negotiated the deal. So take us back to that room when you were convincing your dad this was something you should do, and how did you do it?
Okay, so this is fake news, Vanessa. No, I'm not the one who convinced my dad. Someone else that's very much in the news these past few days is the one who convinced him. We had a situation where one
You're talking about the president.
Yes. One very major sponsor had withdrawn. And we were never proactively thinking of being this main sponsor because there was no real logic behind it at the time, because there was no seat at the table. Suddenly it became possible, and when it became possible, not only did a few people try to convince my dad, but I was indeed one of them. I thought, as a sports fan, as an Olympic Games viewer and passionate about this world, I thought it was essential and obvious for us to carry that role as the leading luxury group in France and as the leading company in France in terms of valuation. It was important for us to show responsibility and to step up and not only respond to a request, but do it with grace and do it with some sort of a proactive and very creative way. So we decided not just to sign a check. We decided that if we were going to do it, it was going to be new. It was going to be something that was never seen before and really very different from other sponsors. So we became, after a long discussion with our friends of CIO, IOC, I guess, and Kojo, the creative sponsor of the Olympic Games. So it was a long negotiation, but in the end, an obvious decision.
When you say creative sponsor, how did you convince them to let you do that, and what were the pushbacks that you got?
So this was the fun part. They had only had sponsors that were wanting to put their names on billboards, and that's really not the way we were seeing things. We wanted to be part of the event. We wanted to, of course, we couldn't be the timekeeper because there was already one, so we need to find little alternatives to that way of seeing things. They were very open and at the same time a little concerned because it was new to them as well to integrate a company like ours to create outfits for the athletes, to help them with the opening ceremony in terms of art direction, to create medals, for example. It was always something that was done on their own, and they're very specific about these things. But them too seemed to feel that it was important to open their chakras to a new type of sponsoring. And I remember this incredible moment where we really wanted to have something very special at the medal giving ceremony, and we wanted our main brand to be present in a very visual and concrete way. And all the teams around the IOC president said, but it's not even necessary to show this because he might stand up from the table and leave the lunch. And so still we took it underneath the table, and at the moment where we had to convince him, because that was basically a make or break for the deal, he was very open. He saw it. He was like, "Oh, I saw all the advisors who became white," and he was absolutely fine with it. And you'll actually discover it tomorrow morning, where we announce the partnership for the medal presentations during all the events.
Well, you can't tell us now?
I just did, but I can't show you.
All right. So, what do you get out of it? For LVMH, is it just goodwill? Is it marketing? I mean, clearly having your brands on the podium at the opening ceremony is useful in a quantifiable way.
We don't want to quantify it. We don't get anything out of it. I think It's not an ad campaign. It's not something that we're going to measure. However, what I feel strongly is that, and this was a question at the time when we did it, we already won the game of internal engagement. What we saw was that when we started proposing challenges to our teams to win tickets, when we started including them in the medals, the outfits, everything we did in all our brands, it was 100% positive internally. But then even externally, for those who are not French here, there's a lot of criticism around anything we do always. It's almost a part of the French way of life. In this particular case, there was almost no criticism. We were, of course, worried about maybe they'll think we want to be another story about privatizing Paris. Who do they think they are to dress our athletes? Nothing like that. It was only really positive. So I feel that people understand that we have really nothing to gain. I mean, we're in a good place in terms of brands, marketing, products, and they feel it's something that's closer to philanthropy than it is to sponsoring. And when they feel that, they actually adhere.
Is that where you put it on your balance sheet?
No, we're not allowed to, unfortunately. But the example of Notre Dame, remember when the cathedral burned down and we made a significant check? A lot of criticism came out of that, much more than the Olympic Games, which was close to zero.
So why do you think that is? I mean, why has the Olympics been such a relatively pain-free initiative for you?
I think there's an immunity around sports, around this event in particular, which is supposed to unite and to be a symbol of peace. I feel that we communicated it pretty well in terms of how we wanted to help the IOC and the Paris Olympic Games, Paris 2024, to make it happen. And it's just a question also of timing, of clarity. We did it exactly 1 year before. This event, as you see, creates a lot of turmoil in the city, but even though the Parisians a year ago or a year and a half ago were a bit stubborn about it and were let's say, on the verge of being negative about this whole event, it shifted in a year. Hopefully we helped a little bit about that as well. There's a pride now, and there is something, very respectful also of the thousands of athletes that trained and are arriving to compete now.
So do you think it could have a trickle-down effect for LVMH more broadly? Do you think it can help shift public sentiment in France, which you said often is critical of what you guys do? Will it bring new people to brands that might find it otherwise intimidating to go into a Dior store or a Vuitton store?
Hopefully, we'll see. You think people are intimidated to go into a Vuitton store? Have you seen the line on Champs-Élysées? They don't seem very shy. But no, the jokes apart, I don't. Perhaps if it does work that way, then it's for the best. It's not the way we really thought it through.
Now, as part of your sponsorship, you're also working with a lot of athletes, right? You have 5 official relationships with Antoine Dupont, the head of the national rugby team?
Rugby, yeah.
Yeah, Léon Marchand, the swimmer, with the gymnast, with the fencer. Are those relationships that are going to continue beyond the Olympics, or are they kind of one and done thing?
I guess it depends. For Antoine Dupont, he's the big world star of rugby, so probably and hopefully it will prolong. For the others, I guess, sadly, in a way, it depends also on their performances during the games. I'm not saying we're just going to do it for this time and throw them out the door either, but obviously it depends and if it makes sense for the brand or not. We are sponsoring these Olympic Games. We are friends of these athletes, and Victor, for example, Wembayama, who's ambassador of Vuitton now, I'm sure he'll stay for a while, and hopefully he will. For others, it all depends. It's really a question of case per case and to see if it makes sense for them also. Maybe they'll have more interesting offers, or they won't feel the connection with some of our brands.
I mean, for years, your brands have worked with many bold-faced celebrities, whether they're actors or musical artists. How do you see athletes fitting into that mix? And do you see them bringing different kinds of qualities to the table, or similar?
I think they are probably even more emotionally connected to everyone. We all do sports, or almost all of us have the chance to do sports. We cannot all sing. We cannot all, act. And I really sincerely see a difference between those sports people that, when you cross the street with them, the reaction of the people of respect and of admiration, rather than one of frenzy that you can get with celebrities or influencers or people like that. Sports is part of our lives. And has been part of the branding and the marketing of most of the brands almost forever. What I can tell you is that if you look at very simple data, do you know who's the most followed person on Instagram? It's Cristiano Ronaldo. Second is Leo Messi.
Who were in your Louis Vuitton ad.
Exactly. So there's just... they have 1 billion followers between the two of them. Of course, movie stars and celebrities have hundreds of millions as well, but these two athletes have the most following. They just create a link with their audience and emotions that cannot really be found elsewhere. I remember being a couple of years ago at a football game with my son, and we were with a couple of friends, saying, "Oh, they get so much money, these footballers. It's not possible." Messi, the salaries were coming out, and then he scored a goal from 30 meters, and I saw that look in the eyes of my 7-year-old son at the time. This is something money can't buy. They deserve every penny, and I think that's why also these Olympic Games, being maybe also non-celebrity athletes. Of course, you have Victor and Antoine, but you also have Paralympians, of course. We have Timothée Adolphe, who is a malvoyant runner. We have Marie Patouillet. We have Pauline Desrouledes, tennis, wheelchair tennis. It's athletes that you're not used or accustomed to seeing every day, and they just have this amazing link. I don't know how it is in other countries, but I know that in France, it's probably one of the most viewed events of the year, almost equivalent to the final of the World Cup or the Euro, when you have judo that usually nobody watches, or, fencing that very few people know about.
So, given all that, are you going to lean further into this? Do you see a point where the balance will tip and you would have more athletes than ambassadors from other, areas of celebrity culture, pop culture? Are there other sporting events that you're going to start underwriting? How much do you think this will be a springboard for you into further sport and fashion connections?
So, we had our first sporting event in 1983, the Louis Vuitton Cup, which was the qualifier for the America's Cup. So it's not something that we have never done. And our link with the athletes and the world of sports is very strong. In almost all of our brands, even the most high-end ones, like Loro Piana, is involved in the Ryder Cup of golf, is involved in dressing up the Juventus football team outside of the pitch. So if you look at our fashion brands, almost all of them, and not only ours, almost all fashion brands have strong links with these athletes or sports. So are we going to continue? For sure. We're going to continue and probably even increase that link between us and them. We love them. They promote fantastic values, effort, determination, to never resign. I think I'm much more comfortable personally as a very avid sports fan with athletes than influencers. I have nothing against them, but I'm happier with athletes.
So, I mean, if you're gonna lean into that, what could that look like? Could you, for example, would you build a Louis Vuitton hotel next to an arena? Would you, create a whole luxury experience built around these sporting events or relationships with athletes? Would you hire an athlete to be a creative director?
Who knows? We hired a performer to be our creative director and a producer, and with many other talents. But why not? Absolutely. Who knows? As for the hotel, I don't want to get in any trouble, so I will not comment. But probably not a hotel next to a sports arena. I very much doubt it. But yes, we will do whenever the time is right, whenever the connection is good with the right athlete. Why not? I mean, when LeBron retires, we have very strong links with him. Who knows what we'll do with him? Maybe like what we did with Jay-Z and Beyonce.
He's going to start an expansion team, as I hear it.
Is he?
All right, I have one final question for you, and then we're going to open this up to the room. So you've been really focused on the Olympics for the last year. You stepped back from Berluti. What are you doing next?
Aha. No, it's too early to say. But this is the biggest event of our life for LVMH, in terms of commitments. So I'm focusing on this, and we'll see in September when Olympics and Paralympics are over. Let's not forget Paralympics. They're going to be fascinating.
Okay, we have questions.
Thank you.
He's not done yet. You don't have to applaud. Anyone have questions from the floor? Oh, come on. Oh, Stephen.
Okay. It's coming. Antoine, thank you. I know as part of your portfolio, you also handle sustainability for the group and all of the brands. How are you integrating that into your sponsorship? Is that something that is right from the genesis of the idea, you've encrusted that into the thinking?
No, to be very honest, it hasn't. This was something we checked, of course, that the event was going to be compliant on our sustainable standards, and not only it is, but it's above any standard you can imagine. They have a wonderful team around sustainability at Paris 2024. And when they showed us how they were preparing the arenas, the fields of play, the travel, everything is démontable. I mean, you can take away everything. It's just 100% sustainable. So we're doing our part with, our few brands, and they do their part on sustainability. We trust each other that nothing wrong would be done on that terrain. Anyways, it would be disastrous for them, and it would be disastrous for us. So we're holding each other by the chin.
Anybody from the front row gang want to step in? I might call on somebody.
Thank you so much, Céline Deljeunesse, Decathlon. Question for you. You speak with so much passion about sport, and you have such a portfolio of brands. How come there's no sport brand within LVMH?
We're a group made out of luxury, fashion, wines and spirits brands. There are few of these. Do you mean sports teams or sports brands?
You do footwear,
okay. Sorry, I misunderstood your question.
No, I don't mean teams. I mean
Okay. Well, we do very regular capsules of sports in most of our brands. Vuitton has a sports capsule with the America's Cup, Loro Piana as well. Most of our fashion brands do have their capsules. Now, having a direct and a unique fashion brand or apparel brand inside LVMH, either we would need to create it, because I don't think of super high-end sports brand really exists as of today, right? Maybe Lululemon in a way, or is it not up there?
Hermes.
No, but Hermes, yes, no, it's a beautiful brand, but it's not purely sports. So We do our things inside our brands with capsules, but no, for the moment, no sports brand.
I would like to know about the sports team. I know you had to dispel rumors on your Instagram about Milan AC, but you are a big Paris Saint-Germain fan,
Yes, I am a big Paris Saint-Germain fan, but if you want to remain a fan, you have to stay out of management, or else you get your head around too many problems. So no, it's not a plan. Who knows what will happen in the future, but not for the moment.
Okay. In the front row. Over there. Does someone have a mic, or do you want? I'll give you my mic.
Hi, Antoine. Bonjour. In French or English?
English,
Okay.
I think.
English, yes. So, as a sport agent with my partner, we remind how you guys put the strategy to recruit an athlete. Because for us, for example, we go very, very deep, like the young one and the top one. The strategy to recruit the young one and the top one. And we want to know how LVMH work inside, if they have someone inside the team who work that way, it's all that question.
Mm-hmm. So we usually work with agencies who sort of scout all the athletes around. For our Olympian and Paralympian athletes, we asked them maybe a year before we signed the contract, because we knew it was going to happen and we were in negotiations already, to start scouting the athletes that had a chance of winning gold medals. We were lucky enough to sign Léon Marchand just a few days before announcing our partnership, and he beat Michael Phelps's records the day before we announced it. So it was like a match made in heaven. For the others, there were certain that were obvious, like Antoine Dupont we've been really working on, especially also because he's switching sports to enter the Olympics. He's a usual player of 15-player rugby, and he's switching for 6 months and becoming a 7-player rugby just to participate to the Olympic Games. For others, we wanted maybe less well-known sports athletes, and we tried to get boys and girls. We tried to have as many Olympians as Paralympians. But there's no really data crunching in there. It's more propositions from our agency, discussions then with them, and finally with the athletes and their teams. We don't have hundreds either, like some brands like Nike do, so it's a little easier on our side.
Dior does have 18 just for the women's wear alone, which is a lot of athletes.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Thank you. Kenza Asalama from the strategy firm Pacesetter, and thanks for your insights. LVMH is the first luxury brand to sponsor the Olympics, and you described that as something of a responsibility and perhaps something of an extension of your brand purpose. Because of their reliance on the notion of exclusivity, luxury brands sometimes have a bit of a difficulty when it comes to reconciling themselves with the social issues of the day. So I'd be interested to hear your learnings at LVMH and how you see the future of your brand's purpose.
So yeah, we you're right. However, we definitely didn't do it for that reason. It's just happening organically that indeed we're getting a lot of goodwill from this partnership. Now, when it comes to our social responsibility, we do more and more communication around it, and we felt for many years that we needed to hide, and we were. Sorry for the vulgar term, but we were too successful to be able to really come out about it. We completely changed our strategy and our communication around this aspect, and now every semester we come out with a big campaign that says how many jobs we create in France, that says how many billions we pay in taxes, and it was a taboo subject before, and when people would present this, we would get thrown out of the room. How many ateliers we've opened, what we've did in terms of philanthropy. So the paradigm is shifting in terms of communication, and I feel it's for the better. I feel the more you talk about these things, the more you explain, what a group like ours, what a brand like ours is capable of doing for the country, it's all for the positive.
You were actually the one who engineered that switch,
Yeah.
weren't you? And it was because...
I just felt that we were, in a way, too big to hide, and continuing to live without, assumer, like being proud of what we do instead of hiding behind curtains was the best way to go.
And so what are the risks in a strategy like that? And what are the risks in supporting something like the Olympics? Because there must be some.
I guess there's risk in anything we do. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. One big component of our partnership is the ceremony. Clearly, this 4-hour, 30 ceremony is going to be very visibly LVMH created. If the ceremony fails, it's not going to be a very good night for us, and it might. This is a big risk for us. I mean, if there's a huge storm, or if there's a terrible strike before, or if I don't know, there's a security incident, who knows? It needs to go perfectly for us to feel good about our commitment to these games. And as of other risks, I mean, you don't do anything without a little bit of it, right? So we're confident that it will go well, but in a way it creates a little bit more excitement.
So what are you doing to make sure it does go well? How much in the details are you with this thing?
So we meet all the time with Tony Estanguet, who will be with tomorrow morning to speak about the last part of this. The
thing that you won't tell us what it looks like.
And yes, it's constant discussions, negotiations. They're in total control, but they're very much too in the detail of things, so it's pretty reassuring. We've met also with, but not only us, all the sponsors and partners of this event have met with the authorities in terms of security, with the préfet de police. I know there's a lot of talk and uncertainty, but it really looks like it's going to be a fabulous event. So we're very hopeful.
And does this mean you're going to get involved in LA 2028?
Well, listen, for 150 million, let's just make this one work well, and we'll talk about LA after.
Okay,
Give us a break.
We have time for one final question. Does anyone else want to go?
Hi, Antoine. My name is Moreno Luale. I had a question. You shared a point regarding Ronaldo, Leo Messi, which showcases the fact that sports is for sure covered across global massive reach, whereas the juxtaposition with LVMH, given the focus on exclusive products, is that there isn't this global massive reach, at least in terms of owning products produced by the group. So what would be your objective in terms of how this audience, this global audience, perceives LVMH thanks to this association with this global sporting event?
I don't think we want to disconnect our products and our brands from the general audience. So I think working with athletes that have a very broad audience is extremely positive, even for brands that want to be at the top of the spectrum. However, from an LVMH point of view, of course, we have the Vuittons and Loro Pianas, but we also have Sephora. We also own champagnes that you don't need to be a millionaire to drink, and we don't want to cater only for the multimillionaires or billionaires. So it's a way also for us to speak to everyone and show that we have multiple brands and a broad audience. I liked Leo and Cristiano, but my favorite is Roger and Rafa climbing the mountain.
In their Vuitton backpacks.
Yes.
Just like lots of mountain climbers. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.